Hello, my dear mom leaders. How is everybody in this beautiful May week? Welcome back to yet another series of Conscious Champagne Chat. I believe we're number 30, no, 43. I might be messing it up. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. So, this is the last part number 3 of our mini series of how to thrive at home and in the office, or at home and in your business without the burnout, without the stress, without the fatigue, without compromising, on your sleep or sacrificing your sanity, pretty much. So, if you haven't watched the last 2 miniseries, I invite you to go back and start there, because I was sharing with you the 3 shifts that have helped me tremendously to, be successful in my business, in my corporate job, but also like keep it all together at home and be a good mom, or feel at least like I'm a good mom, which is what matters at the end of the day. So I shared with you the 2 shifts. The first shift was to move from being externally focused to being self-directed. Shift number 2 is increasing your self-leadership. And today we're going to talk about the third shift, which quite frankly is probably the hardest one to achieve and to go through, because we're just so wired up for it. And I'm going to share with you what that is. When you're here, make sure you leave me a comment, put a hashtag replay, put a hashtag yes if something resonates with you. So I know we're not alone. Show the other ones you're not alone. That always really, really helps. And let's support each other in the community. All right, my friends. So shift number 3, to be it before you see it, and really make yourself as strong as possible with still lots of empathy and lots of compassion and love for yourself, to create the best life in your work as well as at home, is to move from focusing on what you are doing to focusing towards who you are being. Let me explain that. So what we are doing is a very obvious thing. We all day long are hooked up in our doing. We're dictated by our to-do list. When we wake up in the morning, we already have our head spinning because we didn't even get a second to breathe. Sometimes we can't even make it to the bathroom before, like, a child already clings on us or calls for us or needs our attention. And so before we even know it, before we're even aware, we're just busy. And our daily tasks rule our world. And quite frankly, being busy is almost like a new status, right? If people ask you, how are you? We tend to answer, besides I'm fine and I'm doing good, we tend to answer, oh, I'm busy. I'm busy. And it's like if you don't respond with, hey there, if you don't respond with I'm not busy, it's almost like you're not worthy. Like, what's wrong with her that she's not busy? Does she have nothing to do? Is she not important? And so saying we are busy has become a new status. And it's quite frankly a very toxic one. It's a very toxic one. And it's anchored in focusing on what you do all the time. And so I want to give you a little bit of a story of what my trigger moment was when I moved from focusing on what I'm doing to who I'm being. Because let me go back. My daughter is 8. In 2015, when my daughter was 2, I was probably the busiest and the most overworked and the most overwhelmed and stressed in my entire life. And I remember it was a week where my husband was on business trip. I had both kids by myself. We had a huge crisis at work. Everything had to be done last minute and on very urgent timings. And I remember it was this kind of beautiful sunny day. I had picked up my kids around 5:30ish p.m. in the afternoon, brought them home. They were already whiny in the car, and I had placed them in front of the TV to keep them distracted so I could go and prepare dinner. And it was while I was preparing dinner, I also checked my emails and I tried to, respond to this important email. And I put oil in this frying pan. And while I was trying, to kind of accommodate to my kids, who, yes, they were parked in front of the TV, quite frankly, but, they keep, Mom, when is dinner ready? Mom, I'm thirsty. Trying to answer this email, I had completely forgotten that the oil was actually in the pan. And so while I was hooked up in my doing, and just focusing on, 5 different things at the same time, the pan once a sudden caught fire. The oil had gotten so hot in the pan that it caught fire. And because I was so shocked and panicked and didn't, quite frankly, know what to do in that situation, I did exactly what you're not supposed to do in this situation, which is taking the hot pan with oil and put it under running water, right? But that's because I was shocked and stressed and overwhelmed and everything at once. And I remember I was shivering in my entire body when that water ran over the pan. Luckily, nothing happened. The fire alarm went off because there was a lot of smoke. But the problem was, I had the fire under control. The house was all fine. But my kids freaked out because they saw the smoke. They were frightened. For 6 months, my son could not sleep. We had to go and buy a fire extinguisher, which we had to place in his room so he had the certainty that he could do something about it, I guess. It helped. But the point, or the thing that I realized that night was, oh my God. I'm trying to do so many things at the same time that I am putting my family's lives at risk. It was a lucky outcome, but what would be next? What would be next? Because I could not be thinking clear. I was just trying to please other people at the end of the day. I had put so much pressure on myself that I needed to go and finish the thing for work. I had been externally controlled, which is the shift number 1 that I shared with you. And when you're externally controlled, it leads to doing. In that moment, who was I? I was a stressed, snappy, overwhelmed, short-tempered, shivering, devastated woman. I was of no use to my children. I was of no use, quite frankly, to the people at work, because when you reply in a hasty way, it doesn't have quality. And so that moment I realized, what am I doing here? What am I trying to prove? I realized that I was operating from my ego because I was trying to prove something. Maybe that I could hold it all together, that I could do it all, that I could live up to the status that I have everything under control and I can do it. It doesn't matter. All I know is it's not the person I wanted to be anymore. And it made me unhappy. It made me, quite frankly, unhealthy. And it created a very toxic relationship with my children because I would snap at them. And so I learned the concept of it doesn't matter what you're doing. It really matters who you're being. And I was not the person I wanted to be. I did not want to be that person. I did not like that person. And so I had to go and sit down and say, who do I actually want to be? I want to be present. I want to be fun. I want to be easygoing. I want things to be coming to me in the light way, the easy way. And so I had to shift a lot of things, and I had to shift to that person and create that person, or quite frankly, bring her back because I used to be like that. I just all forgotten because I allowed external factors to control myself. I allowed busyness to rule my world and take over. And I've learned that that's not bringing you success. It's not going to bring you success. What's going to bring you success, what's going to bring you the deep connections that we all crave for, whether it's at work, we all want to belong. We all want deep connections with our children. It's like who you are being, who you are in that moment you're cooking dinner. Because quite frankly, whether you cook dinner or not is not going to make you a good mom. It's not going to have an impact on the relationship with your children. It's who you're being in that moment. And furthermore, what I learned is when we shift to who you're being, you can allow yourself to really be who you want to be your authentic self. And if you do that, you also allow your kids to be their authentic self. But when we're hooked up into doing, you know what happens is we cook dinner and then the kid comes in like, I don't like dinner. Why are we having this? It's disgusting. And then when you're on a stress day, you're like, why am I even doing this? Nobody is grateful. Nobody appreciates what I'm doing. Yes, because you are on autopilot mode. You're doing these things because you think you have to do them. That's who I was. And so who you're being in that moment is going to cause more harm than not doing sometimes the things we think we should do, and really focus more on who you want to be. And when you do too many things, ask yourself, why am I doing this? What am I really seeking for here? Whose validation am I seeking? Whose approval am I seeking? What am I after? Because that's what's really driving you, not because you have to. That is, unfortunately, a beautiful lie we tell ourselves. So with that, go back. If you really want to have an easy life, combining work and family, go and put yourself through these beautiful shifts. Move from externally controlled to self-directed, up-level your emotional leadership, and move from focusing on what you're doing to focusing on who you are. All right? Now, tomorrow, I'm going to talk about sibling rivalry because that's been a huge topic in this group. So I'll share with you what has worked for me and what does not, like the biggest mistakes you can make and what doesn't work at all. So tune back in here. And again, if you like this, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel and engage in the conversation. Mwah. Love you. Bye.